Karen Holton TV presents the Quantum Guide Show, featuring ordinary people sharing their extraordinary gifts within our social reality. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. So glad you could make it. So I had a guest lined up today, and he was going to do a 90-minute presentation, but last minute he couldn't make it, and so I'm going to do some fill-in. And a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is actually highly controversial, and so I think it would be important for us to do this within a LARP. LARP, a live action role-playing game, rather than me present it as fact or truth. It's neither fact nor truth. And I think that will protect the video and my channel saying that. I also want to stress that I'm not in favor of any one political or religious group or another. I'm not taking sides. This channel does not take sides. We stand back as observers and we watch what's happening, but we don't take sides because seriously, it's hard to know what's real, what's not. So today we're going to stick within an LARP format, and I hope you all can remember that. So I thought we would discuss some things that are weird and wacky, but probably and maybe even relevant to our near future. So at this point, I'm just going to remind you that you can find the links in the description below. I hope that you will all check me out, subscribe to my channels, leave me comments, like my videos, and please do share my content with your friends. So with that, I guess we will start by taking a look at the live chat. Denise, my wonderful moderator, couldn't make it today, but she has left us the links. And here's this first message from Denise. Welcome, everyone. Please hit the like button, share out, and subscribe. Yes, indeed. I am trying to grow my channel, and it has been slow but eventful. And I just appreciate each and every one of you very, very much. I'm a bit low on people say, well, why don't you get monetized? Well, I can't at this point because my watch time, my view time is a little low. And so you could really help me out if after the show you replayed my videos, and even if you're just doing housework or something and you play it in the background, that would really, really, really help me a lot. But of course, no pressure. If it isn't from your heart, then then it's all good. Let's see. Go down a little further here. As I mentioned, I don't know if Phoenix is in the house. Phoenix, if you're in the house, can you moderate for me today? And we've got our friend of the channel, Mark DeCurious, and he says, great show today. Indeed, I do hope so. We also have My Flock is here. Hi, says, hi, Karen. Hi, thank you so much for coming and for reminding everybody to hit that thumbs up and share it out and comment after the show. Bless your heart for your kind, very kind support. And without further ado, I guess I'll stop. I'll get to the point. Thank you. Thank you so much. I believe this is Sarah. Bless your heart. You're an absolute sweetheart. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. So, guys, I have seen, we all know what's going on out in the world. So I'm not going to get into that really too much at all. It's really hard to know what's true, what's not. And like I said, that's why I'm going to present this information as an LARP, a live action role-playing game. And it's because none of what I'm going to say is factual. Not that as far as I know, I don't know. But it's very, very interesting. Oh, it is, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. So good to have you here. Um, but please do share with me your comments and ideas, and anything you want to add to the mix would be great. So basically, I watch other people, their podcasts, information, and I've stumbled across several events that are targeted for 2026. And the first one I want to talk about is Chris Bledsoe. If you haven't heard of him, I highly recommend you check him out. And he has a book called UFO of God. And he is in touch with an entity he calls the Lady. She has identified as Hathor, but also as many different sort of female energy goddessy types throughout our history, known and unknown. And she appears to Chris in the springtime at Easter time. Now, Chris is well known by three-letter agencies and globally because he's in contact with ETs on a regular basis, and he knows when they're coming to visit him. He can attract them to specific areas, like when they're doing CE5 and things like that. And he's very stable, and he is, I believe, the real deal. So you'd all be good to check him out. Just want to say a quick hello to Danny Hawk 7013. Good day and welcome. So in case you missed it, we're doing an we're doing an LA, LARP to a LARP today. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, according to Chris Bledsoe, the lady told him, I guess last Easter, that she would be back this Easter, which is only a couple of weeks away, a few weeks away. And that she also told him that when we see missiles being fired from Iran to Israel and from Israel to Iran, again, I'm not taking any sides, I'm just stating the facts. Well, at least that's a fact. But the lady said then the ET presence would escalate beyond ever seen before. And we've seen quite a bit over the last couple of years. So Chris Bledsoe, he has seen actual, what we would call flying saucers, but often these beings remain in an interdimensional or transdimensional state, and they appear as these beautiful, huge, fiery orbs that are like orange and red and very, very beautiful. And occasionally out of these pops entities that we would consider to be angels. So their energy, their vibration, their frequency is very high and very beautiful, and there's nothing to be afraid around this. But this is something that is going to escalate in this year. And I know many people who are able to call in these beautiful orbs and film them and able to share their experiences, on social media. So there's that. And so that's the first sort of piece of the puzzle within this LARP. I'd like you to sort of put a pin in that. Well, actually, maybe I will cover all of his pins first. This second thing that the lady told Chris Bledsoe was that okay, you know how the Sphinx points in a specific direction? There's a star that comes up in the morning and it's generally blue. I'm not sure if it's Sirius. Guys, please feel free to fact check me because I don't always get my details absolutely organized. So please feel free to chime in and to fact check me at any time. But because we're in a LARP, this is not actually presented as factual. It's presented as entertainment. And it's the only way I can safeguard my channel, okay? So the lady told him that this year when that star comes up in front of the Sphinx, but this time it's, I believe, orange. Maybe it was pink. Well, anyway, pink or orange instead of blue. That is basically when the ETs are going to make themselves fully known and fully manifest here on Earth. So, apart from him, astronomers and people who study the skies, they have determined this. Some say September, some say October, but again in 2026. So that's the Chris Bledsoe component to what we hope to see this year. And I hope these things give you hope amidst all the doom and gloom we see on the news, because these entities are absolutely have our best interest at heart and are not here to hurt us, are here to help us. As they told Chris Bledsoe, we're not here to hurt you, we're here to help you. And I believe they absolutely mean it. So the next point I want to bring up is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Y-Files. Guy named AJ does the Y-Files, and he usually, for his like 1 hour, or sometimes he does longer videos, but he always has this cheeky little fish in the fish bowl that constantly interrupts him and adds other points of view. And it's a very entertaining show, which is why I started watching it. But in the last year, he started uh, describing events that are more and more meaningful. Let me put it to you that way. Well, he recently started a long form podcast called The Basement. And so the information that I'm going to draw on now comes from those shows. I highly, highly recommend you watch them. Now, sometimes it's, you don't have time to watch a 3 hour or 3+ hour podcast. Not many of us do, but I make a point of listening to his long form podcasts because he's a wonderful interviewer, but he also is very good for stripping fact from fiction. Anyway, twice now he has had on Knights of Templar. Now, regardless what your opinions are about the Knights Templar, these are two different men who both are knights. So they've gone through all the process to become knights, and they know all the secrets and all the information about the Knights Templar. And they have their own information system. So what's happened is they have found these scrolls that were actually written in code by other Templars, but they're copies of original manuscripts that were done by Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene. So according to the Templars, Jesus claims that, and according to these scrolls, because they've been able to decipher the code, decode them, and find out what they say, there's messages directly from Jesus and from Mary Magdalene. And in one of them, Jesus says, I am not fully human. He is part Arcturus. I thought that was very, very interesting. I should say Arcturian. So Jesus was not fully human. He was part ET. He did exist. Mary Magdalene became his wife, and they had two children. So apparently, what happened, according to the Knights Templar, is that Jesus was crucified, but he was able to slow his breath and his heart rate way down. And when they punctured his intestines with a spear, that it actually didn't kill him. He was able to survive that, and he was able to still be alive when they buried him in the tomb. So 3 days later, what he did during those 3 days in the tomb is he healed himself. And then Mary went to the tomb and found him. And they spent a bit of time with the apostles, but then they went north to France. And then they ended up going to Scotland, which I think is very, very interesting. And like I said, they had 2 children, and their children grew up and had children who had children. And so there are many descendants of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene on the earth today. So where am I going with this? Well, that's just a bit of a backstory. I was going to say hi to Missing Time. Hi, Missing Time. So glad you could join us today. Welcome. So anyway, they wrote these scrolls and had them hidden, and the Knights Templar have protected them, and they have their spots where they keep all kinds of artifacts um, and gold and treasure and all that kind of stuff. Just going to say hi to Hillbilly Herb. Hi, Hillbilly. So nice that you could be here today. So for those of you who are joining us late, I'm doing an LARP, a LARP, because I want to protect my channel and my content. And that's why I'm presenting this information within an LARP format. And I just wanted to let all of you know. So I've been talking about the Knights Templar. You might want to go in after the show, watch the beginning if you missed any of it, because it's really, really interesting. And I'm giving you different pieces of the puzzle of what has been forecasted to happen in 2026. So anyway, so the Knights Templar, they've been guarding all this stuff. So apparently the Knights Templar had a huge amount of treasure. And we're talking now 1300s AD. And this is before Christopher Columbus. And apparently they had many ships coming to North America, and they had settled here, and they have integrated with with the indigenous populations, and they are part of North American history, which explains all of those amazing Romanesque style, cathedral style buildings that have been taken over by government agencies in North America. But anyway, so apparently, the kings in Europe were outraged by this, and they sent Christopher Columbus not to look for India at all, but to come over to North America to try to get the treasure back, I guess. And some of that treasure was stored at Oak Island. Many of you are familiar with Oak. Oh, yes, thank you, Hillbilly Herb. That's funny. Great minds think alike. Think alike. I didn't even see your post here when I was saying it. It seems the Templars have been working with Vikings at Oak Island. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, a lot of the Vikings were also Templars. There's so much overlap in all of this. It's really, really fascinating, which is why I love to listen to those long form podcasts with actual knights that exist today that are knighted as part of the Knights Templar. Yes, indeed, that is true. Great minds do think alike. So anyway, where am I going with this? Okay, so Jesus and Mary Magdalene ended up in Scotland. They ended up starting a new religion. And Scotland is also what overlaps with the whole Viking thing and the Viking gods and the Viking mythology. Oh my God, this is just so interesting. I'm trying to keep it all straight and organized. Probably I'm screwing it up. So like I said, guys, fact check me. You can do all of that. Yes, Columbus did have the Knights Templar logo on his sail. And that was so that the people in in the Americas would accept them and be open to them coming and having interactions with Chris Columbus, but they weren't actually Knights Templar. But they knew Knights Templar were in North America. Then there's also an overlap with the whole Mormon mythology that Jesus came to North America and preached the gospel to the indigenous people. There's that whole thing in the mix as well. So anyway, Mary Magdalene and Jesus ending up in Scotland, and they started a new religion that was not gendered. It was gender neutral. I mean, it involved the understanding the god and the goddess. So that would be female and male energies. And that was how a lot of the Viking and also in the British Isles, a lot of their mythology was also established. Yeah, so let's see. Did I miss anything here? There we go. Hillbilly Herb said, yep, LOL. Portugal turned him down since they already knew what was going on in the New World. Yeah. So there's all of that. So what am I getting to? Okay, according to the Knights Templar and these scrolls that have been found and deciphered, and probably in my lifetime, that recently, they found out that they actually did predict the second coming of Christ, but he's not due for 600 years. They also predicted that on June the 6th at 6 p.m., that the Antichrist would be announced. And I thought that was super, super, super interesting. So now we've got Chris Bledsoe and the lady, and the goddess lady, and how she's going to return with an important message for humankind at Easter 2026, only a few weeks away. We've got the astronomers who have confirmed what the lady told Chris Bledsoe about the Sphinx in Egypt, and it's facing in a direction, and the star that comes up first thing in the morning, which is normally blue, is actually going to be orange. I can't remember if it's orange or pink. Please feel free to correct me on that. When that happens, that's it. That is basically the end of the system as we understand it. So there's that. Let me rephrase that. The astrologers are not saying that. They're just saying that that is true and that's due to happen. That star coming up as orange, and they say either September or October 2026. It's Chris Bledsoe who says that the lady says that this is super important. It's going to change everything. So, yes, that's exactly right. So, as Hillbilly Herb says, Chris Bledsoe has changed his prediction from Easter to the fall, and that's what I've heard. They say he's traveling to Egypt in September. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the reason he modified his prediction is because he doesn't always get all the details from the lady. And plus, it's a pretty overwhelming experience. But she's returning in 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks, whenever Easter is, then he's going to get more clarification. So, yeah, that he's even traveling to Egypt, in September, to wait to see what happens. But I think it's really important we pay attention to what he says when he meets up with the lady in a few weeks. Okay. So getting back to the Knights Templar. So they were very well established in North America. Now, here's where I know that's true, because when I first was starting out podcasts, myself and a friend of mine, Dave, we interviewed a man who had found a Knights Templar cave in somewhere in central USA. And it was thousands of years old, and it had all the markings, the Templar markings, so they knew that was actually a Templar cave. And so there used to be a whole bunch of these different stashes that the Templars had that had treasure, artifacts, all kinds of things in it. But now they only have two left. They used to have one at Oak Island, but they've since gone in and removed it. There's only two left. But according to these scrolls that I keep referring to, there's actually 5 arcs, and I'm talking Ark of the Covenant arcs, 5 of them buried in one of their stash places. So again, for those of you who want to know the details, please go and watch AJ's podcast called The Basement. They're long form podcasts, but they're so interesting. I like to listen to them while I'm laying on my bed and got comfy pillows, and I'm kind of half resting and relaxing, and then the information just flows in, and Um, let me see. Where is it? Hang on a sec. I'm having a little trouble with my gadget here. Oh, that's not it. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to put a comment. Was he looking for it or was it a surprise discovery? Now, I can't remember the exact, but basically, he was led to a place, and it was described in other scrolls that they deciphered. This, I'm talking about the night, the Templar night, and he knew what to look for. He knew what landmarkings to look for. And as he went and looked for it, he found them. When he dug underneath this old tree stump, when it was like so rotten because it was so old, when he pushed it over, here was this jar, this green jar. It's famously known as the green jar if you would like to do more research on it. And in this green jar was a scroll that they had not discovered before. And so a lot of the information I'm talking about is actually referring to what was on that last scroll that they found. And that's where Jesus says he's not fully human. So first of all, he absolutely did exist. Second of all, he's not fully human. He's part Arcturian, which I thought was amazing. And he talks about how he went to, how they ended up in Scotland, him and Mary Magdalene, they had children, and their bones, including John the Baptist, there's four people: Jesus, Mary Magdalene, John the Baptist. I'm not sure who the other one is, might be the Mother Mary, I'm not sure, but their bones are preserved in one of these Templar uh, crypts here in North America. So as I mentioned before, they said, hi, Geek Culture, nice to have you back. I'm going to have you on the show sometime in the near future. Oh, a lot. Let's see. Missing Time says a lot of people have been complaining about the basement format on the Y-Files, but I think it's really cool. I do too, because it gives them an unrushed uh, way of really getting into all the backstory and how they found this and that, how they deciphered it, how they broke the codes. Like, you can't do that in a 1 hour podcast. And you can't do that when you have a cheeky fish constantly interrupting. So just think of it as being similar to, and these are other long forms that I also pay attention to, and that is Danny Jones and Julian Dory, and guys like that. So they all have pieces of the puzzle because they can spend the time with the guest unwrapping and exposing the backstories. So it's very, very interesting. So anyway, long story short, according to Jesus and these decoded messages, that the Christ is not really due to return for another 600 years. So that means whoever's coming this summer, June the 6th at 6 p.m., is probably the Antichrist. And so we'll have to wait and see what happens, whether or not, this is real or not real or whatever. And many people will be deceived and they'll set up a system that looks like it's all peace and love, but probably it ain't. And, but anyway, so that's the date that this night gave gave to AJ and to all of us. And he was very candid. Now, AJ also did another interview with the Templar Knight, and they get into all other kinds. And there's so much information and overlap, with the Freemasons, overlap with the Illuminati. Apparently, not all of these powerful people are nefarious. And many of them don't, even the nefarious ones don't consider themselves nefarious because they believe that it has to be this way in order for us all to benefit in the future, including them, right? So let me see if I'm missing anything. Knights Templar, June the 6th at 6 p.m. That is a 666 situation. I didn't mean to say 666. I meant to say 666 situation. Oh, that is interesting. Missing Time 420 says, did you know the Wi-Fi's got the channel seed money from delivering weed? Well, that doesn't surprise me. And a lot of people have survived by selling weed. However, that being said, in Canada, when they legalized it, I'm trying to get my hide, but there it is. When they legalized cannabis, that put everybody out of business as far as people who were very low income trying to make ends meet and provide food for their family. That ended all of it. So, and everything became these huge, big producers that are owned by organized crime. Surprise, surprise, it's weeded its way into everything. Thank you, Geek Culture, who says, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, y'all. The reason I'm reading these out is because this is going out on an audio podcast on all audio platforms, and people are not going to see the comments. And I want them to hear them because what you guys say is important. You're part of my community. Missing Time says they're doing very similar in the States. Yeah, homegrown. Well, we have very short growing season. We have 6 months of snow here in Canada, so it's pretty hard, to have enough direct sunlight and the right growing conditions. But anyway, we're getting off topic. I'm gonna come back to these predictions. So we've got the lady appearing to Chris Bledsoe over Easter. Boy, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. We've got the Knights Templar that are claiming the Antichrist is coming. Then, again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm not taking a political stand on any side. I'm completely neutral. I refuse to get involved in politics. I think they all have a little bit of truth and a whole lot of not truth. But what's happening right now is things are escalating so that they can destroy the and guys, do your own research on this. Okay, I'm not stating it as fact. I'm staying within the bounds of a LARP, a LARP. Okay, but anyway, they're going to destroy the Muslim temple in Jerusalem. Then they're going to build the third. Then they're going to build the Israelis are going to, and probably the Americans also are going to build the third temple. And then there's the whole Greater Israel Project. Do your own research on all of this. I'm just giving you, some seeds that you can plant and go after if you want to. And then they are going to announce their own coming of the Messiah. So the Jews believe the Messiah hasn't come yet, and they believe that when they build the third temple, the Messiah will come. And if it turns out to be June the 6th at 6 p.m., now I'm not sure whether that's Eastern time or UK time, so you all gotta, kind of follow what's happening. I don't know. But also a lot of Christians are also Zionists, and they also believe it'll be the second coming of Christ if this temple is built. So who knows? I don't know. I am not stating any facts here today. I'm just talking about things I've observed, heard that could be possible, might not be possible. That's all up to you to decide and to do your own research. Okay, so there's all that happening. And then in September, when that star rises, in front of the Sphinx, does anybody know what is that Sirius? It might be Sirius. I'm not sure, which comes up over the horizon, but a different color. So a lot of people, Chris Bledsoe's been talking about this for years, and people haven't believed him because when that star rises up from the from the horizon, it's blue. And so but now the astronomers and astrologers, but astronomers are saying, no, this is coming up in 2026. Regulus, maybe Regulus. Maybe you got it right, Hillbilly Herb. Sometimes my facts get all tossed like a salad in my head. Yeah, Missing Time says Regulus. Thank you. Um, and the way I think is a little different than the way some people think. The way I process information is what I mean, is a little different. And it gives me advantages because it allows my soul to pull facts from many different dimensions and belief systems and news items and put it together in ways that are novel. And I'm very, very, very grateful for that. And that's how I'm able to come up with some of my speculations, let's put it that way. Okay, so we're at 1:35. I'm going to play a very quick promotion for myself. As some of you know, I can no longer ship um, physical items to the United States from Canada. I'm in Canada. And the reason is because they have a thing now that makes the Canadians that are doing the shipping, which would be me, pay I have to pay the tariff up front. It isn't collected from Americans. I have to pay it up front. And it's enough that what it does is totally defeats the purpose of the sale. So I guess the best I could do is in exchange for a donation, I could send as a gift the desired items. But short of that, I can't do it right now. It would put me more in the hole that I already am. And the reason I'm trying to sell a few items is because I'm trying to keep my podcast going and I'm not a rich woman. So I'm not complaining. I'm not saying, oh, I'm so poor, please help. Although in a way I am, but trying not to. So I'm going to just quickly play for you, I guess, a little short thing about my book. How about that? Learn about the stunning details of ET diversity and culture, along with their advanced ways of living spiritually, which is in no way like anything imagined here on Earth. Transdimensional, Meet the New Neighbors, introduces you to many different looking ET beings, the organic healing pods, the self-assembling interior of the big ship, my ET buddy and the orientation process, cultural events like concerts and the joining of ships, as well as off-world physical and non-physical loving practices. In my contact experience, I learned a great deal about ET origins, transdimensional travel, intergalactic planetary research, and the various options for resettlement. My goal is to introduce you to the look, culture, intention, and technology of beings which are different than humans, in order to reduce your fear and increase your familiarity so that you will remain more rational and grounded once the ET presence escalates beyond debate. Enjoy reading about my real-life adventures and notice the things we have in common, so you will see that we are essentially many family lines within one species. Paperback and Kindle versions of Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors is now available on Amazon worldwide. To gift yourself or someone you love, pick up your copies today. All right. So Missing Time 420 says, can you do a digital release maybe? Well, I have my book. My books are available on Amazon, both in paperback and in Kindle version. So that's not affected because you would be ordering it from the Amazon in your own country. So that's no issues at all with tariffs there. Primarily what I'm referring to are my orgone generators. My orgone generators are very popular. They've gone out to the whole world. I've created them in such a way and done spiritual entanglement with them so that they're all connected. So when they go out into the world, they form a grid, a planetary grid that helps with the awakening and the ascension process. So that's it's just the physical things, like if you want signed copies of my book, or if you want one of my orgone generators. But my other services are still available to everybody globally. Like, for instance, I have a support option where you can actually contact me if you need support, and you can email me with what your issue is, or what you have concerns, or where you're having troubles, or if you want to know information that I can glean from the field, anything like that. That's all still available through my website. And so you can access my support, because we would do it on Zoom. There's nothing for me to ship directly to the US. It's all done, and I also have all kinds of digital copies of my inspired images, workshops, all kinds of stuff. And I have a free online course also available from my website. So I have lots of things I can still do in exchange for monetary support that will help me keep going. So thank you, all of you, for your kind comments. Oh, this is hilarious. Hillbilly Herb says, some of Karen's AI grays remind me of the elderly gray woman I saw as I was falling asleep one night last winter. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So let's pull it back to the LARP. Does anyone have any comments or questions? I want to say also that I think this is all really good news, not sort of good news. I mean, we've been waiting for the second coming for a long, long time, and now we know it's not going to come right away. So then we know about imposters. So here's a really important question I'm going to put out to all of you. How do we know the difference between ETs coming to Earth and saying, here we are, what do you want to know? And the Antichrist? How do we know? How do we know who's the right one to choose or to follow? Well, I'm guessing we're going to have to go by our gut. Um, um, you're going to have to go by your gut, and your higher self, and your spiritual guides, because I don't know. Seriously, like if a human looking ET came to Earth and big spaceship lands and out they come with all the grandeur and pomp, that might be the false ET invasion. That might be the Antichrist. If that happens on June the 6th at 6 p.m., I'm going to be super sus. I'll tell you that right now. Super sus. But how do we know the difference? They may come appearing as a different kind of race of ET and claim to have the answer to all mankind's problems. I'll tell you, that's sus right there, because my exposure to ETs has always been the same message. We're not going to fix what you guys need to fix for yourselves. We're indigenous to this planet and to this dimension, and we know what to do. We know love is the answer. We know it's the only thing that works. It's the only thing to create functional societies, functional families, functional nations. So we know all of that. Let's see, what have we got in the chat? Let me just back it up a little bit. Oh, this is Hillbilly Herb referring to the gray that he saw as he was falling asleep. She got right in my face. She touched both sides of my head and she said, am I interrupting? That doesn't surprise me, because a lot of them have great senses of humor. You don't hear the scary stories about, them coming and taking you to the big ship and forcing stuff up your butt, but they don't necessarily talk about how these beings, they're all different, just like us. Some people have great sense of humor, some not so much. They're very much like us. Okay, so Geek Culture 101 says, I believe there will be signs. Oh, I believe there'll be signs too. And like I said, I do have my trusted sources. So, for me, and this is just my own personal opinion, the Knights Templar, these knights that are alive today, they're sus because they've had a belief system that they've continued through the ages. But so has the Muslims and the Jews, and there's so many different groups who have these belief systems, and they want to see them become reality. Doesn't mean that they are going to become reality, or even if they force it to become reality, it doesn't mean it's in our best interests. So I think this is, again, getting back to what I keep telling people: get right within yourself. Get right within yourself. Call in your guides and your higher self. Call in the angels. They're all around us all the time. All we have to do is call them in, ask for help. And so there's that. The other thing is your gut. Your body knows stuff. It's connected directly to the subconscious. It knows stuff, and it lets you know through body sensations. I also recommend that you find an internal expert to get your information and to get the things you need. And I think we need to get that done. We need to get right with God, whatever we perceive God to be, whether it's universal consciousness, Holy Spirit. I tend towards a Holy Spirit type of idea. So now they've discovered that plasma is all around us, that we breathe in and breathe out consciousness. And a lot of that is tied into plasma. And plasma exists in all kinds of different levels of reality that we didn't know before. And now books are coming out about it, and scientists are talking about it. It's amazing. So I see it as being all around us. It's everything. It's in us. It's in everything. But it has consciousness of itself too, and that it cares, that it has compassion, and is very compassionate towards us. Chris Bledsoe's experience is also one of compassion. So, either way, regardless of how it goes, it's important that we get those basic things in place, and we do it now. Missing Time 420 says we need like a bunch of world leaders and scientists 3 rows deep to verify at the same time. Well, maybe, but to be honest with you, I would still find it sus. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. That's the stand I'm going to take. If it comes from people of authority and power, to me, it's sus, because they wouldn't be in a position of power if they weren't a member of the club. And as George Carlin says, it's a big club and we ain't members. We ain't invited. Okay, just going down here. Yeah, reminds me of that song. Signs, signs, everywhere there's signs. Absolutely. So we just want to, be wary of that. So even though I've presented all this information today in an LARP, um, I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be a hell of an interesting year. Buckle up. Take good care of yourself. Get some sunshine and fresh air, get a little exercise, go for a walk. Be careful what you eat. You want to be strong as you possibly can, physically, mentally, and spiritually before the shit hits the fan. If you ask me, the shit's already hitting the fan. So, yeah, let's see. Hillbilly Herb says, I definitely don't want to be part of their club, but we do deserve to live in a consensus reality and know our true reality. Yeah, I would agree with that. So I'm hoping, that these Knights Templar come out and present a documentary. I think that would be great. In the meantime, we've got the show called The Basement, with AJ. I highly, highly recommend you look at the 2 podcasts that have to do with the Knights Templar, and how these guys became knights. But they're also, sort of successful businessmen of their own right as well. But they're coming out of the closet, and Oh, thank you, Daryl. Okay, Daryl Stanley B5Y says, I like the interview you did last night, Karen. Thank you. If anybody would like to see myself being interviewed, I've got a playlist on my channel called something like Karen's Guest YouTube Appearances. If you go to playlists and you look for that playlist and click on it, you get to see all the podcasts. I've been on hundreds of podcasts, and they're not all on my playlist, but most are. Quite a few are, more than I could count are. Um, and some of them aren't because I didn't. You see, some of the interviews I do are not on YouTube, and I can only create a playlist on YouTube that gives me, my guest appearances that were done on YouTube. Some are done on Rumble, some are done on, I don't know, there's all kinds of podcasts out there, but literally I've been on hundreds of podcasts talking about my philosophies, my spirituality, and of course my ET contact, my angelic contact. So if any of you are interested, please go and find that out. I'm trying to remember. Oh, tonight a premiere comes out on YouTube called something like Deborah's Dragon Den. I'm sorry. I could look it up. I'll look it up because I'm screwing up the names of everything. Sorry about that. I got my head all filled with these ideas about the information that I'm trying to present here, and I seem to be on one track or another. Let's have a look down a little bit more. Oh yeah, I also have members only videos for any of you who are interested in some of my unique content that is not available to the general public. And if you would like to be a member, I would really appreciate it. Okay, here we go. Paranormal Paul interviewed me last night. Aliens, Angels, and Awakening. And then also, so that's already out because I was alive. Tonight is Glenda's Dragon's Den with myself, and it's being released tonight at, I believe, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And I was recently on the Let's Get Freaky podcast, and I was on the Jeff Mara podcast, Holly's Pandorium, Gypsy Road, Forbidden Knowledge News, and on it goes. So please do, if you're interested in my content, because I don't always have time to talk about my content when I'm interviewing people on this show or when I'm interviewing people on the Aliens and Angels show, which is on Sundays. Oh, that's interesting. Hillbilly Herb says the magnetosphere is very destabilized today, and I know my brain isn't working right. Yeah, that might have something to do with it. I don't know. But sometimes. Anyway, we're coming close to the end. So for those of you who are in Canada or any other part of the world, except for the United States, and I am sorry for that, I'm going to play a really short little promotion so y'all can understand what my orgone generators can do for you. Hi guys, break time for a short message. Are you looking for unique energetic support to assist you with your journey? Check out Zendone's Orgonite. They are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are affordable, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. These beautiful devices are simple compounds which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy. They help diminish the harmful effects of negative energies and EMF by attracting and converting them, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. They also produce orgone energy, which is often referred to as chi, prana, 0 point, life force, etc., And you can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show. And we're back. Okay, so like I said, if you're in the United States and you have a burning desire to have some of my orgone generators, I could arrange for a trade in exchange for a donation, and then I could send them as a gift and get them across the border without having to pay the tariff. So that's about the only way I could do it. Yeah, thank you, Aquamarine, for the throat chakra. Yeah, I use them all the time. I've been using them now for over 10 years. I have them in every corner of the house. I have my house gridded with them and and that might be, I'm not saying it is, but it might be why I don't have negative interference from negative entities and things like that, because I've got them everywhere. I've got the pyramids that are very powerful, but I also have the discs and smooth shaped orgone generators that I can actually put under my pillow, under my mattress, in bed with me if I'm not feeling well. They're amazing, and I use them all the time. And also you can use them within a salty bath to restructure the water and to help ground you. So they're pretty amazing, and I love them. And I've sent some out to people, and as samples, and everybody just loves them. Everybody just loves them. So it's kind of cool when I watch other podcasters and I see my orgone generators on the shelf up behind them, like Chris Matthew and other people. It's kind of gives me a little boost. So, yes, absolutely. I never thought of it that way. Hillbilly Herb says it's a spiritual security system. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a spiritual security system. But it also absorbs the ambient energy and turns EMFs, which we're surrounded by, retunes them to the frequency of the crystals that are inside them. So that's pretty cool too. But anyway, maybe one day I will do another podcast all about orgone generators. How I found out about them was through my guides. They said, Karen, you need some orgonite. And it kept coming up for me, and I didn't even know what it was. It was really hard, 10 years ago, to find accurate information. So I have another playlist that's all information about my orgone generators, how they work, how they interact with the chakras and the meridian systems. It gets quite a bit into energy healing. And of course, they do no harm no matter what. Although, the pyramids are pointy. So you wouldn't want to sleep with one and roll over on it and get pointy. So besides that, anyway, guys, that is about it for today. If you have any last minute comments, please feel free to share them. And otherwise, we will close out the show for today. Thank you so much. I'm sorry my guest was not able to make it. It's Micah Dank, and I'm going to try to rebook him in sometime later in April or in May, because he's done a lot of research. He's like Santos Bonacci. He's done all this research on astrotheology, and he's kind of an expert in the field. So I thought that would be pretty interesting to have him on. So Sunday is my last show until the 29th of March. I'm going to be out of town, but I will have premieres. And I've asked Phoenix to host the watch parties. So please do show up. The premieres will be available the same time that I normally do my lives. And you'll be able to participate in the watch party and talk to each other and visit and give each other support. Which is super important. And you'll still be able to do that. And then when I come back, of course, I'll resume on the 29th. Hillbilly Herb says, thanks. Well, thank you. Well, thank you all for joining me today. You guys really, really give me a boost. It's so lovely to do these lives, to share time and space with you, and hear your comments and include them in the programming. It's very, very lovely. Makes my day. Thank you so very, very, very much. So on that happy note, I guess we'll say bye-bye for today. I wish you all the best week ever. Much love to all of you, whether you're listening to an audio podcast, the replay, whether you're here in person. Sending out much love and best wishes to all of you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional: Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available in Amazon bookstores worldwide. Check out my website at www.KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.